In this video, let us learn the Python built-in functions for input and output. We learn to convert one type of variable to another. We use the string function called len to find the number of characters present in a given string. Finally, we learn to use file editor of IDLE to write simple Python programs. Python built-in functions. Python supports number of built-in functions, and the basic and simple functions are print and input functions. Print function is used to display the string value which is present inside the parenthesis. For example, if we write a print hello world, it means that print out the text on the screen with the string hello world. This hello world is a string that is present inside the parenthesis. When Python executes this line, Python actually calls a built-in function called print, and the string value, that is the argument that is present in the function call, is printed onto the screen. Similarly, we have the input function. Input function is used to read a text or a string from the console. This function waits for the user to type some text with the help of input device like keyboard, and it assigns the read value from the keyboard to a variable. For example, if we write my name equal to input, the Python calls this function input, which waits for the user to type some kind of text, and once the user press the enter, the contents that are read through the keyboard are assigned to a variable called my name. Length function. Length function takes a string value or a variable containing the string and evaluates to the integer value representing the number of characters present in that string. In this example, we read the string from the console keyboard by using a built-in input function input. Assume that we enter the word or a string Naveen, and then if we apply the length function on this variable my name, which holds this red string Naveen, by printing this function length of my name will output integer value 6, which is nothing but the number of characters present in the string. Similarly, we can get the length of the string value, for example hello, which results in integer value 5, and length of this large sentence containing the words and the spaces and special characters results in integer value 46. The length function also results 0 for empty string. Note that print always used to pass either integer value or string value. You can pass both integer, floating point, or even string values, or even the variables. str, int, and float functions. To concatenate an integer or floating point numbers with the string for print function, we need to get the string representation of integer or floating point number. To convert the integer or floating point number to a string value, we have a function in Python called str. This can be passed an integer value and will evaluate to a string value version of it. That means string value of integer or floating point number. Let us take up one example. str of 29 will return a string representation of 29. Similarly, you can concatenate the string version of 29 with other strings. So this print function will result in a new string called I am 29 years old. The string, int, and float functions always evaluate to a string, integer, floating point forms of values passed respectively. Consider more programs on type conversions. We convert the integer value 0 to a string 0. That's the character that is now string representation of 0 str, and str of minus 3.14. Now we get the string representation of minus 3.14. We can convert the string representation of 42 to an integer using int. Similarly, the negative value minus 99 is now converted to integer minus 99. We can convert floating point to integer type by using function int here. int of 1.5 will return 1. int of 0.5 returns 0. And you can convert the string representation of floating point to a floating point using float function. And also you can convert the integer to a floating point by using float. Here is a float of 10 will return 10.0. How to convert the values that are read from the console? These type conversions functions are useful to convert the read values either to integer or floating point values. Let's consider we read the integer representation of string of 101 using the input function. If you print it, you will get a string representation of 101. And to convert this string into an integer, we have to use int function. Int of span will return integer 101. Now you can use this value, that is span. Now this span is a variable of type integer, which holds the integer, can be used with arithmetic expressions like this. Spam into 10 divided by 5 will evaluate to 202.0. First spam 101 is multiplied with 10, then it is divided by 5. Similarly, you can convert the floating point to an integer using int. Also you can apply the other arithmetic operators on the converted values. If you apply the int function on the float representation of string representation of floating point, then this will returns in an error, because this value that is represented within the int function is a representation of floating point number. To avoid this error, we have to change this into float point. Float of string representation of 99.99 will be converted to floating point 99.9. Program development. In order to code and to execute Python programs, we have a file editor in the integrated development and learning environment. And to open this file editor, we have to choose the menu option file and new window. This will enable the programmer to edit the many instructions of the program, and programmer can save the file as well as he can run the program. Once the code is being saved, you can run the code by choosing the menu option run and run module, or even you can use a shortcut key F5. You can also reload the existing saved programs by choosing the option file open from the menu. Now let us write a simple program to add two numbers and to print the sum of two numbers. What we have to do is we have to read two numbers from the console. For that, we have to display a message to the user, so that user types the numbers, and then we convert the numbers, that is string representation of these numbers, to integer values, and then we apply the arithmetic operator, addition operator, and finally we display the result along with the message by converting the result of the form integer to a string. This is a simple code. First we use a print function to print a message for the user. Then we use input function to read a string representing the number, and we assign it to a variable number 1. We print a message for the user to enter the second number, and we read the second number and assign it to variable number 2. And to add these two strings which represent the integer numbers, we have to convert them to an integer quantity by using a function int. Int of num1 will return the integer of string, and int of num2 will return integer of string, that is num2. And we use arithmetic addition operator to add these two integers, and we use assignment operators to store the result of addition to a variable called sum. And finally we print the sum with a suitable message using a print function. And here we use a concatenation operator along with the message and the result, wherein result of type integer is being converted to a string. Let us demonstrate the same program with the help of IDLE, and we'll try to solve some more programs. In order to type the program with the help of IDLE, we have to use the file editor. Choose the file menu. Under this, select new file. This will open a new window, file window. And now this file window is ready to enter the any number of Python instruction. Let us code the same program, adding two numbers. First, write the statement print, enter number 1, and read that number using function input. Then repeat this for the second number. Read number 2, use the input function. Now add these two numbers, sum equal to, convert the variable number 1 to integer type, int of number 1 plus int of number 2, and display the result with the message sum is, with concatenation operator convert the result back to string sum. And save this program, save option. I will save this in a specific folder. Sum.py. Py represent the Python program. To run this program, choose the run option under this select run module, or you can use a shortcut key F5. So there's a error here, error end of line while scanning the string literal. This is the error. Again save the program and run this module. Now you have a console, ideally console. Enter the first number 5, enter the second number 6. The result is now available. Likewise, you can write more programs by using the option new file, code different file, different program, save it in same folder with the different file name with the extension .py. Consider one more program wherein we read the year of birth of a person and the name, and we display the age of the person with a meaningful message. First, we display a message for the user with the print function. Enter the year of birth. Then create a variable date of birth or year of birth equal to input, and I will directly convert here itself to integer of input of input from the console. Similarly, we read the name of a person, print enter the name, name equal to input, it's a string. Now to get the age of a person, we need to subtract the year of birth from the current year, or age equal to current year 2020 minus year of birth. Now let's display a meaningful message. Print age of we use concatenation operator plus name, we display a name, age of person, age of, let's say, Mr. name is, then use a concatenation operator, convert the age into string and close. The statement comes like this: age of Mr. the person name is the number. Let me save this program. Age.py, and let's run this program. We enter the age, let us say the year of birth, let us say 1985, and name is Mr. Bob. So age of since I use the name Mr. Bob, I have a repetition here, is 35. We run this program again, different input. $1990, let us say. Name is let's say Rajesh. The age of Mr. Rajesh is 30. This is how we have used the concatenation operator, string concatenation operator, to display a meaningful message, even by concatenating the numbers with the string using the type conversion function called str. Let's recapitulate the discussions. The input-output functions, input and print, are useful to read and print different data types. The type conversion functions, int, float, str, are helpful for the programmer to convert one type of variable or a literal to another type. The function called length is essential to find the length of a given string. Finally, the file editor facilitates the programmer to enter, edit, debug, as well as to execute the Python programs.